back to another episode of Us Anxious Folk. I am here with Annie, who is from South Australia, which is my hometown, so that's exciting. Um, Annie is a lovely, lovely lady with two beautiful children. So I'm really excited to talk about some parenting stuff because we haven't yet done that on the show. And I believe you were doing a law degree and now
I
you're not.
was. So I was studying a law degree and I've
Yep.
actually switched over. So now I'm doing a counselling diploma, but also a Bachelor of Behavioural Science and Neuroscience.
Okay.
So I kind
All
of
the
overloaded
things.
my plate, but I'm a lot more engaged in it than I was in law. I just don't think law was really the right path for me, but it just took me a year and a half to work that out. So
I feel like that happens for everyone. Like you start doing something and then you're like,
yeah.
actually, this is not what I want to
It
do.
doesn't quite fit, and you've got to make it. Yeah, so I made the change, and I'm definitely happy that I made that change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, welcome to the show. Happy to
Thank
have you
you.
here.
Thank you.
So let's just jump right in. Tell me your anxiety story.
Okay, so I think, like, reflecting back, I mean, actually, I was probably a bit of a walking contradiction as a kid because one part of me liked to perform, like, on stage and sing and that sort of thing. And then the other part of me, I was actually quite shy. I'd have these little, I call them quirks. I do hate that term, but if I'm sort of looking in the past, they were my quirks. I'd have to do things like I'd open birthday presents. I'd have to leave the room that everyone was in and I'd have to go and like open presents in other rooms. My mum did say that there were a few little flags that I may have actually had obsessive compulsive disorder from a young age. Like I'd have little sayings that I'd say with her, like, if she was going somewhere, we'd have like a goodbye saying, and if I stuffed it up, I'd have to start again and I'd have to keep repeating it until I got it right. So that was childhood. Teenage years, I was very social again. I didn't have any issues with going out, but life was a little bit turbulent, I suppose, for some of those years. And then as an adult, I really probably got hit. Well, I had my first panic attack at like 18, 19, but I really got hit with the anxiety pretty bad, like maybe a year and a half ago. And I think it was just after sort of all the stuff growing up, my predisposition, but then some rather significant traumas happened, sort of leading up to having my firstborn and then after having him. And I became a little bit probably more reclusive and adopted a lot more like safety behaviours and things. And then I think it kind of just spiraled a little bit out of control after that.
As it does.
As it does, I'm still not quite, I am healing. It's still a process, but even today, like my son is 3.5 now, and I've got a 2-year-old daughter as well. She's actually 2.5, but even now, like there's still a lot of days when doing things that I used to do, like going to the shops or going for a walk, just seem too hard. And there's still like a lot of frustration and stuff around that. I've still got the OCD. It still sort of hits from time to time. And I'm kind of just having to learn at the moment just to allow those sorts of thoughts to sit and kind of not interact with them at all. It's still that learning process that I'm kind of in the middle of at the moment. So it's been a journey. It's still a journey. There's a lot of journey ahead, I think. So so that's sort of me. So I think it's very sort of stereotypically that nature versus nurture, that they talk about in psychology. I think there was that predisposition, but then there was sort of events and traumas that kind of really triggered it. And now perhaps that I am starting to unpack it and I have more knowledge on what's actually going on, it's sort of flaring up before it really starts to settle.
So I'm curious to hear more about the OCD because it's not something we've talked about on the show yet.
Wow.
So how does that manifest for you now? Like I know as a kid you sort of touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, so probably more as a kid, it was little things like I'd have physical rituals, like, I'd get the urge to like have to touch certain parts of the bench or like little things like that. Or I might do something, but I'd have to like count to 5 or do something 5 times. It was always sequences of 5, or you know, with that little goodbye ritual with my mum, if I didn't say it correctly, something bad was going to happen. There's some things that I think there's a lot of crossover between like my generalized anxiety and my OCD. So sometimes it's hard to kind of completely differentiate, you know, what's what. But I think a lot of this was probably my OCD. You know, if say I got a thought or something that was a bit, because that's, you know, part of OCD is it latches onto like your fears and the things that you value, and it sort of sends that messaging that's really the opposite of, you know, either what you think, or it really highlights something that you're fearful of. So say I, you know, say a joke and it was something that wasn't, or I'd have a thought, it was something I wouldn't normally feel comfortable thinking or saying, I'd then have to like go, touch wood, and 5 times, you know, on the foot. Like it was very, very strong like that. And I didn't really know at the time what that was. I just thought it was like a quirky characteristic of mine. But now I think it manifests more, I guess it's more just mental compulsions. So I might get thoughts like, if I don't say drive safe, like to whoever's going to go in the car, you know, they're going to definitely have a car accident, and it's going to be because I didn't say drive safe. Like it's that kind of thing. And maybe like sort of thoughts, fears. There's definitely the intrusive thoughts about worrying that I might slip into like a psychosis, and that can be quite strong. You know, irrational things that in my logical mind I know make no sense and aren't even a thing. Like, what if I accidentally, you know, stop loving my family one day? Or what if I, you know, I've never been suicidal, but it does latch onto that fear of what if I get to the point of losing control and, you know, just not wanting to fight anymore. And it will latch on that for a while, and I'll ruminate on it for a while if I do engage. And then like the mental compulsion side of it would be analysing, arguing back with it, researching why I'm getting those sorts of thoughts. But that is actually the ritual that's keeping that going. So that's where it's at now. It's probably a lot more mental. There's less like physical counting, that sort of thing, but it's definitely still there. The thing with OCD is, from what I understand, is you can't ever sort of cure yourself of it completely, but it's just how you respond. So that's kind of what I'm having to work on a lot more at the moment.
It's funny you said that you know, your logical brain knows that these things have never happened or aren't going to happen, and it just struck me then that like I reckon 99% of things we say, do, think are not logical. I don't think we're logical creatures by any means. And it's like we have this expectation of ourselves to be logical and to be rational, and just nothing we do is really.
So like, if I could write out all the thoughts that I get with my OCD, it's like, what the actual hell? That does not make any sense.
Yes. But, you know, it triggers that part of our bodies and brains that, like, you know, the emotional side holds so much more weight and can really sway what we do. So I've never had that thought of, you know, if I don't say drive safe to someone, that they're going to have an accident, but I can imagine how much that would just pull at you.
Oh, it's overwhelming, because as much as like, I mean, again, I'm getting, you know, I do have more periods have been better now, but say I really tried not to do it back in the day, I would just get, my heartstrings would just be so tight for the rest of the day. I'm like, I didn't say it, I've just got to say it. Like, I'd end up texting my husband a bit later, drive safe.
I've got to say it. Yes.
Already there. But it does. You get that sort of feeling in the pit of your stomach, like, oh God, you know, I know this is my OCD, but I really just need to say it, because at the same time, my OCD brain is kind of really, you know, making it feel like it's a real thing. So
well, it'd be hard to shut off that emotional side when, you know, so much of our emotions is needed for every day, and that's normal. So it's like, where do you draw the line between this is dysfunctional and this is just normal emotions?
And I think sometimes I'm probably like, I overanalyze now, and I don't know if it's because I've done sort of like a bit of my study as well, but I'm constantly overanalyzing, and then I go, is that my OCD analyzing, or is that me actually wanting to? It's
It's blurry. It's
Blurry.
always
There's a lot of
blurry.
blurred lines there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, 'cause speaking of your studying, tell me a
Yeah.
bit more about that, because I spoke to
Yeah.
Alex on our last episode about that. Um, and it just like it blows my mind people that study,
Mhm,
along with
mhm.
having quite dysfunctional anxiety,
Yeah.
because I can't even get through the day sometimes. Like,
It's really hard. Like on the days that I'm really bad, it's really difficult to open my books. I
okay,
find there's a few things that it affects. One, my OCD kicks in and it goes, this is the thought, why are you bothering? You're never going to be able to work. So what's the point in studying? Which is a
wow.
completely untrue thing, but my brain likes to just put that on a loop. So I'll be trying to do my uni readings and I've got this going on. I'm like, shut up. So there's that side. There's obviously the side as well. I guess when you're anxious, your prefrontal lobe, like that all kind of disconnects, and that's what you need to retain the things that you're learning. So I find like if I've got heightened anxiety, I take a break. I don't try and push myself to just get through it because I'm not going to retain the things that I'm learning. So I just step back and I take a little bit of a break. Um, I've been quite lucky that my uni actually have like access plans. So for people with mental illness or with disability. So, as long as you have the right documentary evidence, it basically means if you're struggling to meet a deadline or you might not be able to come to a class, you can actually just give that plan to your topic coordinator and they'll allow you whatever you need to accommodate you. So that's been amazing with my uni. Also being, the degree that I'm doing, I find my topic coordinator has been just so lovely. I've been quite open with her.
Yeah.
And for my counselling diploma, it's self-paced. So as I said, if I'm feeling like I'm not going to be very productive in a study session because of anxiety, I just will take a break until I'm in a better headspace to try and do it because there's no point otherwise.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what works for me at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
With study. So
Didn't know that existed. I mean, I thought there would be allowances for, obviously if you're having some kind of like crisis at home, but I didn't
yeah,
realize there was a whole plan in place. So that's
yeah,
good.
that is. Yeah, it's really great. I didn't actually put one in place during law school because
Yeah.
I was really stubborn for some reason.
Yeah.
I think I
Really hard
was
on yourself.
it was like denials. I'm like, I don't need one. But then, getting into psych, I'm like, no, like, get a grip. You need to get one of these things. And I
Yes.
did. And it's been really good. So I am really fortunate. I have been online a lot this year with uni though, obviously because of COVID and stuff. Yeah. So I am dreading going back on campus at the moment next semester. So I've got a lot of like self work to do, I think, there.
Yeah.
And that was obviously a challenge too, is getting back into that like social interaction, being on campus and that kind of thing. Because the last time I was on campus, I had a really undignified panic attack in the lab. I literally ran out with one half of my lab coat on and my backpack. So a little bit sad, but that's okay.
It's funny, as soon as you make that association of like this bad thing happened there,
Yeah.
it's just so hard to then go back and tackle
I
it
know.
again.
I know. I'm like, oh my God. And like, in our labs, there's like 100 students or something crazy. And, I'm quite sensitive to light and sound, obviously, as part of the anxiety. And it's like white lab coats everywhere, bright lights. And it's not an ideal environment for someone with anxiety, but I've got to go. So I'm just going to have to, work on my strategies and get back in the lab.
Do you find that you worry about what people thought in that moment, or do you have that yes yeah,
but then reflecting after my little cry in the car after it happened, thinking, oh my God, I can never show my face at uni again.
Yes.
I actually don't think anyone noticed because I think I looked kind of put together other than the fact I was running out with my lab coat, but we'd only just gone into the lab and I was like, oh no, like the fight or flight's kicking in. It's like, come on, girl, like just stay. And I'm like, no, grab the bag and just kind of walk out as people were walking in. So I don't know if anyone actually did notice, but I do worry. I'm like, I think it does make you feel a little bit not isolated, but separate to everyone else. And that kind of can make it feel worse, like that sort of feeling of I'm not fitting in because, I've got going on. So
I've got this weird thing that everyone else seems to be coping well, and I'm the weirdo.
Yeah, but then, also, the logical brain kicks in and goes, but you don't know if those other people are experiencing the same thing. But I think in the moment, it's really hard to remind yourself of that.
It
To just say,
is.
"Oh, it's just me,"
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But then we also, like you said, we don't realize how well we are actually hiding it because so
Yes.
many people have
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah,
looked
yeah.
completely normal. I remember a Claire Weeks talk once. She said that, the person running out of the auditorium because they're having a panic attack will always say, "Excuse me," to the person next to them.
Yes. Yeah.
We're not like, "Get the fuck out of the way." We're just like,
Sorry.
"Excuse me, sorry,"
Oh my gosh,
We're
that's so
actually so calm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That actually totally reminded me. So I love our local chemists. Like, we know them really well. They're all the time for various things. I mean, kids and me for my meds.
Yeah.
And they're so beautiful. And I was in there waiting for my script one day, and I just felt like I have a panic attack every time I go in there. But this was the bad. And again, I felt it like kicking in, and I very calmly on the outside walked up to the counter. I was like, "Do you guys mind if I just wait outside? I'm just having a panic attack at the moment, and I just need to get home the project." They're like, "Oh, darling, like, it's ready." I was like, "Oh, I'll just put it through. Like, did this really calm transaction?" But I was just dying. Like,
Yeah.
and I think the look of shock was more like, "What the hell? How is she having a panic attack right now?"
I know.
She looks so composed, but
We're
yeah,
so
yeah,
capable in those
yeah,
moments, and we just,
yeah,
it's like we do sort of separate internally. There's the part of us that's totally
yeah,
dying, and then the part of us that's like, "I'll just do this normally."
yeah.
And
Because I don't want them to know, but at the same time, I want to get out of here. Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
So
totally.
how do panic attacks like what sort of happens for you in a panic attack? Because obviously you have a sense that it's building, right?
It's that feeling of doom.
Yeah.
No, I sort of start to get. I think the first thing is kind of like the sweats. It's very physical for me in a panic
Mm.
attack. Like,
Mhm.
um, yeah, it's mostly physical. Like, I get the sweats. I get really dizzy, and that really freaks me out because then I start to get the anxiety about, oh my god, is this the time that I actually am going to pass out?
Mhm.
And that starts to get me panicking, and then I get the fight or flight. It really kicks in. Normally, I want to fly, like I want to get the hell out of there, but
Yeah.
sometimes I'll just, I guess, fight by way of telling whoever I'm with that I am panicking, and but when they're really bad, they're really bad.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
feel horrible. Like, yeah, and I think you do sort of feel like maybe all your senses are in overdrive a little bit, and that fear of, is this me going into a psychosis or something finally really sort of hits when it's a bad attack, and then all the other lovely bits and pieces that come with it kind
Yeah.
of kick in. Yeah.
Whole
So
body shuts down.
love it.
Yeah. So
No, it really does.
yeah. Do you obviously being a parent, you have panicked in front of your kids. I know I've panicked in front of Lila so many times.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that, and how do you find parenting being a
Oh
mum with
God.
anxiety?
Hard. Panic attacks, I think I kind of do that masking thing a little bit in front of the kids.
Mhm.
Although I did go through a stage of having panic attacks that would make me cry. Like, I'd just cry, and I think it was that feeling of pure like frustration that I was having them.
Yeah.
And that did happen once in front of the kids. And my daughter sort of piped up from the back seat, and it was really sweet. And she goes, "You're okay, Mum. You can do it." Like, out of nowhere. I think she must have listened to my husband or something. And yeah, so that was kind of good. Like, I try to hide it, but at the same time, I think it's good that she's learning emotion maybe that comes alongside.
Yes.
She doesn't exactly know what it was, but she knew that Mummy was sad. And yeah,
Mhm.
my son has no idea, so it was fine. He didn't know what was going on, which was good. But parenting with anxiety, I think I was really triggered, and it was really rough, probably for the first 6 or so months with my son.
Mhm.
OCD, anxiety, panic attacks. I think, just becoming a parent generally was really triggering because you have that added responsibility. But
Yep.
so my son, I think I've probably either seen it on Instagram, I might have told you, but he was born with a really rare eye condition, and we actually had no idea that he even had it until he was born. And so we spent maybe the first, can't get my words out. We spent like the first maybe 2 months with specialists, and they were saying things to us like, it could be a tumor, it could be this. It was a really stressful time, and really, really heightened my fear of anything happening to him, which then consequently like kicked my OCD up. Like, you know, I had to count his breathing 5 by 5 sets. You know, I just wouldn't even leave the house. Sometimes I'd be scared, you know, because my OCD would say, oh, if you go for a walk, you might pass out and then someone will steal your son. Like, it was really hard. And I think it was, the combination of just becoming a mum, but then also what we're going through, like the trauma, the medical trauma with Eli as well. Lily, becoming a mum of 2 was actually a calmer experience than when I first had Eli. Like, it kind of, Lily just sort of fit. I was a lot more confident by then. I was on my medication and stuff. But, you know, I do still get some anxiety around like taking them out on my own and things, with that sort of fear that I'm going to pass out, you know, and something might happen, blah, blah, blah. And there's definitely anxiety around anytime Eli's got to go to like a medical appointment or have a prosthetic eye, like, because he wears a prosthetic eye put in. So he's got to have like general anesthetics. We spend a lot of time in the hospital, and that is very triggering as well for me. So, you know, good and bad with becoming a parent and anxiety. I think one of the good things, though, is it forces me to do, like, exposures and actually we do get out of the house, although I'm fearful of it, because I don't want them to miss out on anything because of my mental illness. So, I really try my best to, you know, keep doing normal things with them and, you know, not let them miss any of those things that they might do if I didn't have it, you know. So,
they become good little sidekicks. I know that sounds
They
awful
do.
way to speak about
They
your children, but
like, I feel like I can tackle the supermarket when they're with me, or like a doctor's appointment. And they're a good distraction because they, you know, they keep you so busy. So I feel like really anxious.
Questions,
really
constant questions.
Can I have this? Can I have that? This? Like, so I think they're both good, but it's also been difficult. Like, pros and cons.
I think what you said about, you know, your daughter piping up and saying you can do it.
Was so
cute. I've found that with Lila that I think she's really learnt a lot of compassion just from dealing with my stuff, which, you know, on one side I beat myself up for, and I'm like, I just wanted to have a normal childhood and not have to put up with that. But then on the other hand, I think, like, the fact that I'm very emotional and that she sees that, hopefully that helps her to not repress things and not try and hold back emotion.
I think, I feel a bit the same, like, sort of with Lily as well. Like, I think in a way it is good that they do see, you know, us having those emotions, because we're their strong, safe person. So it's okay for us. If we can have those, they can have those too. I think that's really important. So, and, you know, you say I have had a bit of a panic and I've had a bit of a cry, I will often push that narrative. I'll just say, oh, mummy was just feeling a little bit sad, had a bit of a cry, but that's okay. It's okay to feel a bit sad sometimes, and we'll really sort of push that narrative. And I have found less Eli, because Eli has also actually got global developmental delays, so his speech sort of isn't quite, and understanding isn't quite where Lily's at, so he's not quite comprehending it yet. But with Lily, she is now at the stage, if she's angry, sad, frustrated or happy, she actually verbalizes it. She'll tell me, she goes, I'm feeling happy or I'm sad, since we've pushed that narrative. So I think it is important.
Hopefully we're going to have, you know, the next generation are going to be these incredibly mentally healthy children.
I hope so. I really hope so.
But it is hard, definitely, navigating parenting in terms of, you know, dealing with panic attacks, and I'm sure OCD, like you said, you know, the fear of passing out. That's hard. That's heavy.
It is. And you try so hard. I think, like, I do really actively try to use coping strategies and things like that, but occasionally you'll get that one thought, you're like, no, but this is it. This is the time that, you know, it's going to happen. And that's really difficult, because I think that's when the OCD gains a little bit more of that control back, when you do sort of give into that particular fear that time. And that's really difficult. So,
I know that you've been working on a lot more compassion, though, and kindness.
I had to. I was like, I was, I was getting anxiety and I was having these panic attacks, and then I'd just go into this like downward spiral. I'd basically, tell myself I was a failure and I was never going to get better and this was life now, this whole big thing, and it wasn't doing me any good. So I did really, and I am still trying to actively change that dialogue. And so far, I mean, I've had that disassociated, bubbly kind of feeling that you walk around in and stuff. But I've been able to cope with that a lot better. And the panic attacks that I have had since changing that have been minor and like so mild. I've had maybe like one or two, but I've been able to use that positive self-talk, and I think it's actually helped me to manage those attacks more. Like, I'll say things to myself if I feel that bubbling, that brewing, that I might have one. I just sort of say, you're capable of getting through this. Your thoughts can't hurt you. You're safe. Or if I feel a bit defeated after I've had one, say, or had some anxiety or cancelled a plan or something, I just basically say it's okay to feel defeated, but you're not failing. You're moving forward. I've really changed that dialogue, and I think it's really been helpful.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I know that you had a video on your Instagram story the other day when you were driving, and you said,
driving.
Yes, and you were like, these thoughts can't hurt you. And it just, I loved that because it reminded me of exactly how I feel like you might speak to your children if they were scared of something.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's sort of like speak to yourself like you would speak to someone else or to your children if they were experiencing the same thing. It's like really doing, I guess, that inner child work. Like I haven't explored that a lot, but I think it's sort of maybe scratching the surface of that, and it is so true. It really, really helps. So I do want to explore that a bit more, like do maybe a bit more inner child work, because I think there's a lot that needs to be done.
There is. It's funny, like people scoff at that. I know if I said that to my partner, you need to work on your inner child, he'd be like, but it really is like, and I think it goes back to that emotional side of us, being so childish in a way. Like it really is childish, and it doesn't respond to it doesn't respond to anger. It doesn't respond to like just berating it.
Totally. And I feel like my husband would be exactly the same. He's like, what are you even talking about? Like, what is this?
I actually said to my partner yesterday, I was like, now don't laugh at me, but do you think that your back pain stems from emotional repression as a child? And he's like, no. I think it stems from a lot of hard labor. I'm like, I'm not sure.
Okay. I don't know about that. Mine's so funny. He's never had anxiety in his life, so he's great support. But
he seems like a great support. But I think that I find that quite helpful because it's like I have this stable ground. Like this just sort of pillar of strength. And so when I'm losing my mind, it's like I have something steady to cling to in a way.
Absolutely. Totally. I feel exactly the same, like with my husband, like with Nathan as well. I mean, even yesterday, for some reason, it might have been sleep deprivation. Again, analysing compulsion. I was in the bubble, like I had like depersonalisation most of the day and I wasn't loving it, and I was a bit of a sloth. I went down on the couch for a while. Like, I'm just going to lie on the couch like for the day. That's it. And he came down and he's like, come on, we're going to go for a walk. I was like, oh no, like I don't want to leave the house, And he got my socks and my shoes and my hat and he was like, no, we're going. Out we went on the walk. He's like, let's go out for dinner. I was like, oh, let's not. Like, let's just go home and get some Uber Eats. He's like, no, we're going to go get some dinner. So I was like, fine, fish and chips on the beach. I don't have to sit in a restaurant. I have to be with people, whatever. Got to the beach. I was like, all right, we're going into that pub for a meal, and he just took me in, and that's what I needed.
Yes.
Because, I mean, he's cautious. He doesn't want to push me too far, but I think he knows my limits, and he will push me to get me better, and that's exactly what I need, because it's easy for me to just hide at home and cry and avoid everything. So
exactly. And try and control everything. And so having someone who sort of tests that control.
Yes, totally. I think control is a huge element of anxiety, and I think potentially like when everything happened with my son when he was born and we didn't have the diagnosis yet, I felt out of control
for sure
because I didn't know what was going on, and I think that maybe was a big trigger. for me then. So
Yeah.
for sure.
Seems like a whole lot of parenting, though, really is just being totally out of control
Oh, yeah.
and just
Oh, yeah.
having to put up with it, you know?
Yeah. This is why I hate going out with them because
Yeah.
I'm like zero control. They don't
Yeah.
listen to me. So
Yeah. I know it's hard. Tell me about your routine. I tend to ask this to everyone, but yeah,
right.
I'm always interested.
So my routine at the moment is really bad. I have really good intentions of having a good routine, but
Me
I've been a little
too.
bit complacent.
Yeah.
So I find it easier because I'm not working at the moment. I was working like a day a week amongst the kids and study, but I pulled the pin on work when I first started getting like a bit of the agoraphobia kicking in and whatever. So when I've got work on, I've got a better routine, but when I'm sort of studying and kids, it's a bit more loose. But I do try to fit in some sort of like, even if it's a 5-minute mindfulness exercise a day where I can, or, you know, one, I guess it's not really, or it might be part of my routine, is that positive self-talk. Like I make a conscious effort to kind of give myself a few good messages in the day. And yeah, I mean, in a perfect world, I'd go for a walk every day, but some days I don't. But I do really want to work on my routine, and I think as part of this healing, that's going to be really important. As well. So yeah, my kids have routines. I just don't have one for myself, you know.
I can relate so hard to that. I feel like I spend all of the day organizing everyone else's routine and making sure that theirs is running smoothly, and then mine is just like, it's just thoughts. It is, like you said, it's good intentions, and then that's where it ends.
You don't actually do the work.
Yes.
That's it. Like, it's constantly about making sure everyone else is running smoothly, but kind of forgetting, you know, that you might need a bit of a routine yourself. So
for sure. And you I know you write a fair bit as well. And you've I'm gonna link that in the show notes because Annie has this lovely Instagram account where she writes. Although I know you weren't being quite vocal about who you were in the beginning, so if it's okay I've just unmasked you, sorry.
No, I unmasked myself because I was all like, oh, you know, maybe I'll be a little bit anonymous. And then I've been doing these videos where I'm talking. I'm like, well, that's gone out the window, so whatever. But yeah, so obviously I didn't start that super long ago, but I do find it quite therapeutic just to, you know, although I'm just writing the captions, like I'm not sort of blogging, but always a kind of blogging, I guess. But it is really therapeutic to do that writing, and I think it's really good because it offers like some self-reflection a little bit as well. And hopefully it's reaching other people and, you know, helping them a little bit. I mean, I found your channel like when I was in the midst of everything last year, and that really helped me. So even just helping with like the feelings of, oh my God, I'm the only person in the world experiencing this, you know. So hopefully it helps other people in the same way. But
I think so. I think, you know, the masking helps us to a degree, but it then, I guess, it adds to that sense that we're the only ones going through this. And so, you know, when you're really sort of vulnerable and open about what you're going through, I think people just flock to it because they're like, finally, I can sort of be myself here.
I can relate to someone, or like, I know for me sometimes like that intrusive thought around psychosis and that kind of thing, which I think is a pretty common OCD theme. When that's quite strong, it also reassures me that it's lying to, like the OCD is lying to me, because there's other people experiencing this that aren't in, you know, it's just that fear of loss of control basically. So I think hearing that other people are going through similar and haven't lost that control is also reassuring. Is reassuring thinking. So
there's the blurred lines again.
I'm like, oh, maybe that's not so good. So I can hear it coming out of my mouth. I'm like, oh.
I know what you mean though, because I get that as well. I'm like, hang on, is that like a safety behavior thought thing, or is that just me actually self-soothing? Like, what is that? Yeah, I know.
Since my psychologist made me aware of like safety behaviors, I second guess everything. I'm like, oh, I'm holding my phone out of the shop. Is that a safety behavior, or am I just holding my brain? Like,
I mean, you can't not now because you have to check in everywhere. So I can't put my phone away because then I have to pull it out again.
Exactly. I'll keep that one.
Yes. Yeah. No, but I think I can't remember who I was talking to about it, but I said, I think safety behaviors to a degree are okay when they sort of get you out. And then once
Yeah,
you're out, if you can then slowly start,
to
you know,
drop. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I have one of the weirdest safety behaviors that I'm actively trying to drop, but not
Is
having
this
much
the
success.
trolley? I
It's
love
the
this one.
trolley. It's the damn trolley. Like I just can't. Every time I go to the shop, I need to have a trolley as if it's gonna like hold me up or something. Like what the heck? I need a trolley. If I'm buying one thing, I must look like an absolute weirdo in the shop. I've got this massive trolley with like a box of tissues in it or something.
I feel like there's a lot of nonnas that walk around the shops with a
Yeah,
big
why?
trolley and just a handbag in it.
Yes,
So-
that's me. That's me going to the shop.
But I know we
Ridiculous.
spoke about this a while ago, and it was you were saying that there is a what is it, like something that sort of
Oh,
makes you feel a bit lopsided, or
VPPV. So it's like a vertigo kind of thing.
right?
um,
Yeah.
which I actually ended up being diagnosed. So I was sort of like, okay, is it that? Or there was something else. I read an article and it was something to do with like when you're anxious, I think one side of your brain might be working a bit more than the other, and it kind of creates that feeling of going sideways, which I did have for a while. But I think it was sort of both of those things.
For sure, yeah.
And that's when the trolley sort of kicked in, and I haven't dropped it since. So
Love that trolley.
I love the trolley. Now I'm just avoiding the shops altogether. So.
Do you know what though? I think like it's funny that you can laugh at it because I think
Yeah.
there are so many of those things that people will relate to. Like I know for mine, it's always I have a spare pair of underwear in my handbag.
Yep, drink bottle.
Yeah. And
Don't
it's
drink
like,
from it, but, you know, really
yes,
dehydrated.
it's just one of those things. And I mean, I kind of, in a way, I think it's fine. Like my daughter brings her bear everywhere, and I'm totally cool with that. You know, if it makes you feel a little bit safer,
So I
just
can't take a
do
trolley
it.
into doctor's appointments. So.
Yes. Yeah, you're just coming home with a trolley, and Nathan's like, okay, this has got to stop.
Just in the backyard, ready for every time I have to leave the house. I was really sad because like the trolley kind of became the pram as well. So like if I was walking with the kids, I know they're like toddlers and they're pretty big, but I needed the pram.
Get in the pram.
Yeah. It's like it's time to get rid of the pram. I'm like, what?
Yes.
I can't get rid of the pram. Oh my god. But you do have to laugh. It is
Yes.
not funny in the moment, but when you reflect, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Oh
It's one of those things that we just beat ourselves up for. And you're like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I really don't have to beat myself up for this.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a trolley. It's just a spare pair of undies. Like, it's not hurting anyone.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe that's what I should do for work. I should work like doing the trolleys at the shops or something.
I wonder if doing more body work would help with that sensation.
Maybe. Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I do find like, so my exercise as well has been absolutely non-existent. But when I do something like last night, going for a walk and that kind of thing, I actually felt better after. And when I do have sort of bits of that, I'm on a boat feeling, I do like the vertigo exercises, and that is quite physical. Like you've got to kind of move your head around quite a bit, and that helps too. So yeah, maybe.
I actually think there's going to be a lot of people who listen to this and have that symptom and
It's
go,
so bizarre.
thank God, it's not just me.
When I first said it to my doctor, I was like, I don't know if this is anxiety or if like I've got something going on in my ear.
Yeah.
I walk to the left.
I'm slightly lopsided.
Why am I walking to the left?
That's That's one of someone on Instagram put it in a funny way the other day where he's like, I woke up feeling a bit shit, and then he's like, and now we play, is it anxiety or am I actually sick?
Yeah.
And I was like, I get that.
Totally. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. All these things triggered. It reminded me of when I had my vax and I had a panic attack because I couldn't tell if it was like an allergic reaction.
Yes. Yes.
It was a panic attack. It was not an allergic reaction. That was really hard. I was like, am I actually feeling this because I'm like allergic to something, or am I having a panic? But
it is, well, it's confusing because like you said, yes. Oh, I felt so bad for you in that moment. I felt for you because honestly, I had that exact same fear of like, if I
Yeah.
react to it, how am I going
Yeah.
to know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I can't tell.
Yeah.
My big thing was like, what's in my body now? What if I am allergic to it? How are they going to
How are they going to
make
get it out? Yes, I know.
ridiculous?
But then I think we have to give ourselves a little bit of space with that, because I know so many people who don't have panic disorder or agoraphobia
Mm.
or OCD who
Yeah.
thought the same thing. And, again, we beat
Yeah,
ourselves up for thinking these things that
we do.
a lot of other people are thinking too. So
Yeah.
it's not
The
because we're
compassion
sick.
has to come back in again.
Yeah.
This is okay.
Yeah. It's all good. Um,
Oh,
so the last question I have for you, which is my favorite question to ask people,
okay.
tell me, what would you say to either yourself at your worst, or somebody who's going through the worst stage with their anxiety, somebody who's experiencing OCD? What would be your advice to them?
Sorry, it's probably something that when I'm at my worst, I hate hearing because I can't believe it. I actually think that it is so important. It's really simple, but it's that you can do this. You do have the capability to get through this, and you are going to feel better. It feels like rubbish right now, but you are going to feel better. So basically, don't give up. Even when it feels like you want to, just keep pushing. And if you can, get yourself a support crew, whatever that looks like for you, because I think having that support is also really, really important too. You don't want to have to battle it alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think support is such a huge one that we
totally
overlook. But I think we seek that as well. Like,
Yeah.
even if we don't realize that we are, I think.
Yeah, like through like even online, I guess, looking for blogs and things like that, we are seeking that support. And I think too, something that I know a lot of people probably find hard, but it is ask for help if you feel like you need it. Like I think for a long time I didn't, but now, even with my husband, I'm completely, if I'm in a bad place, I'm like, I need help, I need support right now, can't do this on my own. But in reality, you do have the power to do it, but it can feel so hard kind of in that moment.
For sure.
Yeah.
It feels like this is the worst it's going to get, and it's all
over.
Yeah,
this is it.
Commit me. I'm done. Yeah.
Do that once or twice. No, you don't need that. Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. Thank you so much for being on the show and for being so open and honest.
Having me. Sorry for laughing through.
No, you're just like me. I talk about serious things and I giggle. Yeah. Yes, I know. I don't know if it's anxiety or if it's just me. Yes. But so if people want to find you, they can find you on your Fight, Flight or Right account.
Yes. And I'm more than happy for people, like, obviously I'm not a counsellor or a psychologist, but if ever they want to reach out, but my inbox is always open there. So
awesome. Okay. Lovely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And we would love to keep hearing more about the trolley and the journey with that. Yeah. Keep us updated.
Sorry. One day, but yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for listening to the Us Anxious Folk podcast, the podcast for the chronically overwhelmed, perpetually panicked, anxious folk in all of us. If you would like to find more about me, you can find me on YouTube at Lauren Rose or on Instagram at LaurenR_Rose.